Spencer Pratt's bid to be LA mayor is getting more fuel, thanks in part to the many missteps of his opponent. Current mayor Karen Bass and her fumbling of the city's homeless crisis is one of the things. Watch here.
Your goal was to end street homelessness in LA by 2026. How were you so off?
Well, basically, when I said that, it was at the beginning of my term. I didn't anticipate some of the bureaucratic barriers that I would experience, but I am prepared to take those on now.
But you promised that it would go away 100%, and it's only gone down about 17.6%.
Right.
So why should people trust you that you're going to be able to get to the 100%?
Because let me just tell you, for the first time, we've had a decrease at all.
But Spencer Pratt says that the city needs a more common sense approach.
These people need medical treatment, not what Nithya and Karen Bass are talking
And where
about.
do
They have the right to experience drug addiction and die 7 people on the street every day. No, I'm actually the compassionate one running here. I don't believe we have a bed issue. I believe we have people that don't want to use the beds because they want to do drugs and be on the street.
What do you think of his candidacy, Joey?
He knows all the problems. He may not know all the answers, but he is doing a hell of a job identifying the problems. I mean, she sits there and she goes, I wasn't prepared for the bureaucracy. It's like, ma'am, you ran for mayor. What did you think it was going to be? I mean, maybe she's always been a bully and she thought she could just bully her way there, or maybe she's not very good at it and she's looking for an excuse. She also said something like, in response to him, she said something along the lines of, you go spend a week on the streets and see if your mental health doesn't change. And it's like, well, my man did get homeless. I mean, it probably did affect his mental health so much that now he wants to run for mayor and fix this place. It's the way she's smug about it. I think it turns off voters. But I don't know. I mean, I think they could run Joe Biden right now and he'd probably win because LA's probably not going to vote for a Republican. But I think Spencer's doing a good job.
He explained why he became a Republican here. If you can play that, please.
When I was a hated reality star,
Yeah.
I got so many death threats. I had so much security and police, and what did they tell me to do? Get a gun. I got a gun. My wife got a gun. And then we needed CCWs. The only people that supported a CCW was the Republican. That was what I aligned with: my safety, my personal safety, my family's safety.
So, that's the base need, is your family security.
Well, yeah, that's why people find him so refreshing. You don't have to even like Pratt to despise everything that Bass represents. She's a professional gaslighter, and it's done as a survival mechanism. If I can lie for the next couple of months effectively, I'll get another 4 years to leech off the system. Meanwhile, you see these ads for Pratt, which a lot of them are AI. The AI ads are more realistic than the Dems when they try to act authentic. Like, she comes off as AI when she talks. You know, she was talking about the homeless, saying it's not about drugs, it's about poverty. She portrays the homeless that goes against everything every citizen who lives in a blue city knows and understands. If you spend all your money on drugs, you're not going to be able to afford rent. So you move to California, where rent isn't necessary. The weather is great, the laws are non-existent, food's available, you can get a dog, test your drugs on them. But over time, you're no longer human. So she was mad that he compared her to zombies. What are they? When you talk to anybody on the street, and I do, sometimes not by choice, you're not talking to a human being, you're talking to a drug. The drug is in front of you. They are not in control of the situation. At least we understand that. Pretending that they're in control of the situation is not compassion, it's cruelty. Her arguments are designed as obstacles to solutions. Instead of confronting a problem, she denies it exists. It isn't drugs, it's poverty. No, it isn't. You will not find a homeless person who is healthy, sane, and poor. You know, poor people, by definition, don't just decide to ruin their lives. And if Bass finds one rare example of, some like senior citizen woman who's healthy and sane, it's as rare as a streaking comet, and it will be gone just as quickly. Her argument does not come from compassion. It's for self-preservation, because nothing she does is designed for the people. It's designed for her.
And Jessica, I was actually looking at this policy-wise. What would be the objection to voting for Pratt? If you wanted change, he is a Republican, but I'm looking at the things that he wants to do. It doesn't seem to me that I can't imagine most normal Democrats would disagree.
Some of them, certainly the stuff related to the rebuild and cutting red tape to make sure that if you have an enormous fire and your home is incinerated, that you can build something new and get back in there. That's something that Kennedy talks about all the time. You know, her neighborhood was totally devastated by this. Around homelessness, there are a lot of people who feel similarly. If you listen to Matt Mahan, the mayor of San Jose, it doesn't sound that different.
Right.
But it comes with somebody that actually knows how to get things done in government. And I think that is fundamentally what people are going to have the problem with Spencer Pratt. He doesn't have the requisite experience on any level. I'm not just even talking about, you want to say, oh, Donald Trump, and he's not my guy, but he ran a big organization, right? I mean, Spencer Pratt has been filming himself or being filmed for the entirety of his life. He does not have experience in any of this. He hasn't made it clear that he's going to hire the right people. I mean, to my mind, if Rick Caruso had said, I'm going to get in this race, he would have steamrolled the field. The guy who arguably should have won the time before when he ran against.
But Pratt is the one getting the attention.
Well, can I just say something? And I'm hearing this from friends in LA as well. Spencer Pratt has a very online candidacy.
Yes.
And that does not necessarily translate to votes. His odds of winning, as he, gains steam, his odds of winning in the betting markets are going down. And people are also seeing things like videos of him palling around with Alex Jones from years ago, saying, I'm going to catch flack for this, but you're a really good guy. And, people see this Sandy Hook spin that they have, and they're like, he doesn't believe the parents and the babies. We're talking about a guy who said that those were child actors.
No, I know. It's similar to, we've seen this before, Rachel. Well, but like people nationally will be following something, and Pratt has done that. He has found a constituency all across America when he actually needs the votes in LA. But his point about compassion, I thought that was a good one.
So these ads are very interesting. One of them, he's got these guys in the backyard, and they're all saying, well, he's kind of right about this. I mean, and they're kind of reluctant to say they're going to vote for him. And then at the end, they go, I think I'll vote for him. And then they say, I'm not MAGA or anything. I'm not MAGA or anything. And it reminds me of something. Back in 2016, when President Trump was running in that election, I was a political spouse. And so people knew where I stood, right? My husband endorsed Donald Trump, the first one in Wisconsin. And so people would come to me and say, I'm voting for Trump. And they would whisper it to me. They felt, this was in Wisconsin, in rural Wisconsin. People were afraid to say they would vote for Trump because it would seem like you're a bad person or you're a racist. So I find that very interesting. I think he's plain spoken. I think that word that she used, the unhoused, that's a weird word. Nobody talks about the unhoused. It's a word that's meant to shame you for noticing that people are on the streets with, needles everywhere and you have to walk over feces to get to school. I think people are sick of that. I think he has common sense.
But real quick, I really want to know what your response is to Jessica's take that people that are like, reality TV stars don't really have that experience to go be leaders.
Yeah, well, first of all, he was invested in the show that he made him famous. So he is a businessman in production and reality TV. He's obviously a successful guy. Apparently, he can rent a hotel in Bel Air and hang out there. I can't do that for a week.
I like Bel Air.
Yeah. So I think people overestimate what it takes to run. If you have common sense, you are humble enough to reach out to people who can help you to get the job done, you can do it.
He hasn't said that, though,
where's
at
her
all.
training? In the summer, when she was a kid, when she was in college, she went to Cuba and was a youth brigade person. Back then, she has communist sort of vibes about her. That's what her background is. And she's clearly doing a bad job. Why not take a chance on Pratt? Just like people said, let's take a chance on Trump.
Because it could always get worse, as it did with Trump.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.